I've been thinking about talking on this topic, and I've been hesitating because there's certain things that you should just let go, and there's some that you should say something about. And and this is one of those topics that I thought I should just let go. I cannot discuss it on the background with other people who are involved in this particular matter. And they said, yeah, we thought about it, and we thought we shouldn't say anything about it. No harm will be caused. So it's all right. But just being me, I I feel very strongly that I have to say something about it because I don't believe in just live and so, as our people like to say. And the one thing I know about just live and so is that just live and so has never invented a computer, has never made the plane fly, but it has caused a lot of damage. So I don't believe in just live and so. I believe in us paying attention to the details because everybody can count 1 to 10. Everybody can spell love or hate. Everybody can spell. Everybody can say the ABC. But the reason why one person makes it and the other doesn't is not on that big read and write thing. It's on the detail. It's on the fit. I used to hire for a Fortune 1. I used to hire for a blue chip company in the United States. I used to be a hiring manager. And when I did my first interviews when I was just starting, I went to my HR human resource manager and okay, I don't want to hire this person. And here's the reason why. So how do I write this? And she said, oh, you don't have to write anything. Just say not a good fit. Not a good fit. I thought, yeah, that covers us legally. It covers us in many, many ways. It covers us in many, many ways. So the reason why you hire one person and not the other is about a fit. It's some detail. It's some detail that has to do not so much with the goals about your company, but the little detail that makes one person a better fit than the other. Okay, and it's very interesting. When I said let me address this issue, I went to read it again before I addressed it, and the first thing that came on my phone said, "Unleash the potential within you. You have to leave this world empty." So I just noted it here because it addressed this actually addressed the conflict I was having within me, whether I should even address this thing or go with the majority of the people who are behind what I'm going to be talking about. Okay, and the thing I'm going to be talking about is let me read what is written by those who are provoking me to speak. So I see this thing. It says breaking news: U.S. Senator meets Ambazonians. Senator Benjamin Cardin's office, who wrote USA Senate Resolution 292 and co-sponsored USA Senate Resolution 684 on the Cameroon Anglophone crisis, has accepted to have a Zoom meeting with Ambazonians in Maryland and beyond this Friday, 16th October 2020 at 12:30 p.m. We need to mobilize Ambazonians to attend. Okay, so here there's an agenda. Meet agenda 1. Greetings and welcome to the senator by the president. 2. Talk by senator about bill. Question from audience. Closing remarks by the president, and adjourned. The presidency of FRA, which means Federal Republic of Ambazonia, is inviting you to a scheduled Zoom meeting. What really bothered me about this whole thing is that in economics it is said that bad money drives out good money. This is a resolution that a lot of very dedicated, selfless Ambazonians in this country have worked on. They have worked on this legislative process with Congress, not only in this resolution, but many other resolutions. Some have succeeded, some have not. But they have chosen this path as their path, where they have concentrated, beside other things that they do, but they've chosen this as a thing where they need to put a lot of effort in, and they have put a lot of effort in, and then you have a thief, you have a fraud trying to use it to justify or to placard the stealing, the embezzlement, the conniving on the background, the anti-restoration of Ambazonian freedom. And it kind of annoys me, because this is again stealing from the Ambazonian people. They continue to steal from the Ambazonian people. Sako Ekomis has never, and his group has not been part of this process. And maybe he needs to use this to cover some of the unearthing of the destruction he's been doing to this struggle. First of all, this is a man who represents himself, because if he became the AIP, and I'll call him that, by the authorization of Siseko Ayok Tabe, or by the process that the IG gave him, the IG already, they fired him, and he's no longer, he was replaced by Yerima. So he's an illegal individual, and like Professor Anyangwe said, they should form their cultist group with a different name. But my point here is that when other people work on this revolution and they come and try to hijack it, it needs to be called out. It needs to be called out. And I say it needs to be called out because when I talk to those who have been leading this process and how they feel about it, they just laughed. They laughed. They said that they won't fight him on it. They won't fight him on it because there's not very much damage he can do. No, there is a lot of damage. There is a lot of damage they can do. Because one of the things that these people who joined the revolution, first because it is popular, because they never talked about the issues of the Ambazonian people. It was never their concern. Okay, they were still struggling to make a living, and most of the time you don't want to engage hungry people to do something for you, because you see, if people are not meeting their their food, their housing, and their clothing needs, what we call basic needs, they cannot think past that. And when you engage them in your issues, you're really engaging people who cannot think past their basic needs. And I used to say, for people who are just still dealing with issues of food, housing, and clothing, they are still basically they are not at a level where they can think past that. And that's why most revolutions are led by bourgeois. They are not led by the peasants, even though the bourgeois lead it on behalf of the peasants, but that revolution is always led by bourgeois. They are the people who bring the intellectual justification for the revolution. Go look at it. Peasants usually don't bring up their own issues. And so when you have people who have not grown past or have not developed themselves past their basic needs, they cannot represent anything more abstract than that. And so when you have these kinds of people taking on our issues, they're going to bungle it. And that's what bothers me. That's what bothers me about people who are still... you've listened to Eric Tato release a lot of tapes on how they function inside. Every time you listen to those tapes, they are not discussing strategies on how to save Ambazonia. They are discussing money. They are either discussing money on how to deceive the public, or they never really, they would discuss everything else. They would discuss everything else, the kinds of discussions that thieves and conspirators sit and discuss. You've never sat and heard them say, except when they are trying to send Ambazonians on the ground to go and kill other Ambazonians. Then you hear them talk about something else. But otherwise, most of what you hear Eric releasing from the background is what the so-called blue and white army is talking about, or is what Chris Anu and his gang are impersonating Seven Kata and every other person. Or it's always something other than, it's something about survival. It is something about their survival. And that's why I'm saying, until people go past the basic need of food, housing, and clothing, don't allow them to be part of your brain thrust, because their brains are still too concentrated on providing for themselves the basic. And so, just leave them so? No. Samuel Ekome Sako has no right to jump on this issue, on this baby that other people are working on, and try to take leadership on, because he has no leadership to provide on the Ambazonian issue. One of the things that the people who worked on this, when we're discussing, they said it's not the senator coming, that is just a staff member coming, and that those people are very experienced, they'll listen to him, and that there's no damage that he could do because of the work they've done on the background. But shame on you. And I want to also shame the cultists, who are actually very reasonable people, who have allowed themselves to be conned. I am surprised about how many smart people, I put a quote on their smartness now, on how many smart people these idiots have taken down a rabbit hole. I am shocked. And I see them pushing this all around, peddling all around, but they're peddling around to justify the errors they've made. What we really, and my appeal to them is that we need to start coming back home to the Ambazonian revolution, because Ambazonia needs all of us. Ambazonia needs all of us. Ambazonia does not need you to be distracted by a hungry pastor, by a hungry fake pastor. So come back home and Sako Ekome. Please. I think people know you well now. And I think you should rethink about your continuous destruction of this struggle.